We are live. This is the market update. Do you need help understanding the ceasefire, the Fed, okay, and altcoin season? You noticed altcoins have been going up for 2 days? Want to know what that's all about? Stay right here. I'm your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe to this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live, and if the content works for you, please hit the like button. I'm trying for 200 likes. Now, the first trade is always wrong. The first interpretation is always wrong. Of what? The Fed. Everybody has read this wrong. Everybody's watching the Watcher Guru headline about, we're not going to lower rates. Wrong, wrong, wrong. Notice how in Bitcoin, in the big caps, you had a huge reversal yesterday and you got almost no dip. You had your dip when there was allegedly a retaliation. That was the dip. Now everybody wants a dip and they ain't getting one. And the reason they ain't getting one is because Powell changed the nuances in the language. It's not the statement. It's not him repeating what he said last time. It's the change in the statement. Plus, the ceasefire, lack of ceasefire, demonstrates the folly of governments, and altcoins don't care because they are overly suppressed for so long, and they are the only cheap thing in the world, right? Bonds, stocks, good luck buying them at the premium zone. What's left? Altcoins. Let's welcome who's here. We're going to go off today. I've been going off, and I have no intention of stopping. Knox Bill, what's up? Baby Whale, Bull Runner, Yav, a member, Huckleberry Native. I'm early. How did this happen? You are here, sir. Hal Lopez up in the middle of the night in Portugal. Strong. Silas, hello. More people need to understand Bitcoin. Dude, Michael Saylor, unbelievable, right? Unbelievable, right? Grandpa Keeter has now been a member for 8 months. Best 8 months of my 4.5 years in crypto. Sir, we salute you. Bezan, a member. DC Precise, Lee J, Patriot Caveman, Warmon, a member. Find out now 7, he got himself some antivirus. Teary-eyed Janice McAfee. Boy, if that doesn't make you convicted, I swear. And I'm never getting off this privacy thing. Not ever. Not ever. Now, this show is brought to you by our YouTube members, where you can hear Toby tell you not to sell, not to get bearish in the teeth of this mess. She told you when it started. She told you when it finished. We did live picks on the air, right? We put a bunch of real world asset picks the day before they all went up 20%. Did you know we do real world? We just pick them right on the stream. You don't got to wait for reports. You don't got to wait for anything. We just do it right there. Now, that said, if you do want some super duper unique GAN reports where you get help with day trading, sector analysis, just put a new thing about DPIN in there. Woo! Hot. RWA, now DPIN went in there today in the Patreon Platinum area where we sell research anywhere from $10 to $110 a month, cheaper than anybody else. And those guys, the originals, the Spartans, the VIP tier, they are the ones that put this free show on the air. Spartans, we salute you. Ariana is here. Welcome, Diego. News, let's go. Okay, Orange Man says, ceasefire in effect. Please don't violate it. Please don't violate it. Okay. Orange Man gains ground as nuclear watchdog seeks access And this character is looking for any excuse to continue. Now, we all know that the ideology of the Iranians, and we all know that, they killed our guys in Iraq when they were over there. They subverted, the rebuilding of Iraq, etc. So they took hostages long time ago. They're not good. This guy wants to fight at any cost because when he's done fighting, he goes to jail. And he's bad news. And the great news is the more this guy talks, the bigger the hole he digs. The lobby in the United States that owns everybody, including the Orange Man. Because there's dissent now with a guy named Thomas Massie. We'll go over that. Again, the ineptitude of governments. Early intel from a left-wing news organization suggests that we didn't destroy anything, that we just dropped a bunch of bombs, declared victory, and left. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm sure we did some damage, but again, everybody was afraid this was World War III. If it really was World War III, we would have used a nuke. That would have ended it all with the nuclear program with these guys. But that's not what happened, right? He made the donors happy. He sent the aircraft carriers over there. And hopefully he doesn't have to declare a no-fly zone over Iran and Iraq to protect the Iranians from the other side. That would be kind of funny. Because I know the guy's going to stop. And even if he doesn't, this being a market event is over. It's over. Absolutely over. People just don't get it. It's done. Now, for whatever reason, the Orange Man is launching against this guy from Kentucky, Thomas Massie, who is basically like, I'm not down with, blowing people up without congressional authorization. Congress declares war. So that's one. Two, they're not down with the big, beautiful bill at all. This guy and his fellow senator from Kentucky, Rand Paul. Funny, Kentucky's, the bluegrass state. It's a nice place. It's got a horse race. It's pretty country. It's not where you would expect a bunch of tough guys to come from. But this guy's the only one not taking money from this lobby. Okay. The only one. And he was just on a podcast with this guy who has 1 million followers. He's cool now. And the reason the Orange Man doesn't like him is because he's probably going to put up opposition to the big, beautiful bill and the $2 trillion a year deficit that they want. Now, the beautiful thing about the big, beautiful bill is the one thing that they can all agree on is crypto. And that is happening. And like stable coins and like Powell today, everybody is oblivious. But you'll read in Cointelegraph 3 days from now that, oh my God, can you believe these things are happening? Folks, they're happening right now. And of course, we're going to go over it, and you should not go anywhere. Subscribe to the channel, jump in Patreon, all these places, because we got our people set up snug as a bug in a rug. Now, let's review how to listen to the Fed. So Powell grew up in an era where, the Fed would do nuance things. Like, you don't look at the language, you look at the changes in the language. So everybody and watcher gurus like, well, Powell says, well, we can't cut rates right now because of blah, 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 blah. But Powell said this: if it turns out that inflation pressures do remain contained, then we will get to a place where we cut rates sooner rather than later. Hello? Sooner rather than later. Boom. NASDAQ, new high. Bitcoin, crypto. Everyone's sitting around looking at geopolitical headlines. Meanwhile, all coins are flying. There's not one news article. There's only one news article about SEI because it's layer 1 season and no one knows it yet because they got a stable coin in Wyoming. Wyoming, pretty country, Cynthia Lummis. That's where you go to hunt a moose. SEI is up 40%. One layer one is up 40% because one U.S. state is doing a stable coin. And Bassett wants $4 trillion in stable coins. And they're going to let anybody do a stable coin. Elon, anybody. You buy treasuries, you can do a coin. And Powell just told you. He just told you. If they're not idiotic on government spending, if this tariff thing turns out to be a gigantic nothing burger and everybody just pays a 10% tariff, they're cutting rates immediately because there is zero job growth. The employment market is, I think, a mess. People are getting laid off. The people who get laid off cannot find new jobs because there is zero job creation. Zero. And it's been that way for a long time. Bowden covered this up by massively expanding government spending, and that's over. That was obviously over with Elon. So, and housing, you've heard this from me, right? It's a non-functional market. I don't know if housing is going to crash or not crash. It's a non-functional market. And Powell knows it. He knows it. They got to get rates down. Period. Okay? See, and this is the headline, right? Fed's Powell reiterates or wrong. He just did the pivot. It's called a pivot. He did the pivot. Why do you think NASDAQ made a new high today? And then, again, not paying attention, Powell says banks are free to serve crypto clients to pursue crypto activities as long as doing so providing safety and soundness. Hello. Okay, so the SEC just got off crypto. The Treasury wants it desperately. And Powell's like, party on. How do you think they were able to debank people? That's all Fed stuff. That's all coming from the Fed. Powell's like, party on. Let the stablecoin companies buy the debt. I don't want to buy the debt. I don't want to buy the treasuries. I got enough of that. I got massive losses on that. Let Tether and Circle and Ripple, let them buy the bonds. As I always say, you've been told. And the first trade, and watch your guru, it's wrong. Wrong. When they figure this out, this market's going up hard. Odds of an FOMC cut in September are at 50%. How about odds of multiple Fed cuts, right? Everyone's trying to nail down the meeting because that's what's fun on Polymarket. But, he's just going to go, once they start, they're just going to go one after the other, after the other, after the other. Because somebody's going to make a mistake. And I still think the Swiss National Bank lowering rates to zero is the sign of some kind of problem that's out there. And if that ever comes to the surface, that is cut. NASDAQ makes a new high. Yields fall on Powell. Stock market, they smell those fresh baked sugar cookies. Give me that sugar, Jerome. You baking cookies for me, honey? Yeah, oh yeah. New high. Oh, crazy, right? Crazy. Okay, again, here's Thomas Massie, the only opposition to the big, beautiful bill. And who knows if he'll be able to do anything on that, right? This guy single-handedly, stopped the proliferation out there by telling the orange man he's got 60 days to get out of there. Sovereigns, don't you love it? But this guy is pushing back. Okay. And of course, the orange man wants him out, out. I won't go through the American politics of how that works, but he wants him out. Okay. Again, here's the new word, Elon Musk. Anybody can issue dollars, right? You buy treasuries, you can create money. The Treasury is going to be able to create money. You don't understand what this means. It means a second printing press. Buy treasuries, issue money. Boom. Right? The Treasury doesn't have to monetize the debt, put high-powered money in the system. You just put the debt out there and then boom, everybody issues money. Fear greed at 65. From 65 to 42 back to 65. Imagine Bitcoin at 106,000. If you went 6 months ago, right, 7 months ago, go back to Thanksgiving and say, if Bitcoin was 106K, where would fear greed be? They would say it would be at 100. It's at 65. No one believes this rally. No one. It's a hated rally. You know, no one is buying altcoins. No one owns altcoins. That's why they're trading the way they did. Why do you think SEI went up 40%? A baby catalyst, boom, up 40%. And you know what? When you look at the chart, it doesn't look like it doesn't look like anything. We'll go over that. We are about to enter the golden age of crypto. And you know what? That is so true. So true. And fear greed's at 65, and nobody wants to read the Fed statement, and everybody's talking about the Strait of Hormuz. It's like, you know, my father used to say this, is like, God must love morons. He made so many. So many. And they're all on Twitter. They're all on Twitter. And CC's like, get off this stuff. They're all dummies. Now, of course, CZ made $1 billion when everybody got liquidated, but that's okay. He's right. Engineering better yield and liquidity. So, you know, if you buy this, you know, you get lots of yield, right? Average daily trading volume. This is what's down here. Average daily trading volume. Like MicroStrategy stuff is the preferred stock market. The preferred stock market. A preferred stock is a hybrid between a stock and a bond. Let's put it that way. He is the market. Long-term holders, minimal spending, meaning not selling. Signals continued conviction. No one is selling Bitcoin. No one. No one. All a man wants is a chance to buy Bitcoin at 95, ETH at 2,000, and Solana at 110. Is that too much to ask? And he says, you could have done it 2 months ago. And he said, I've been doing it, but I have money now. So, like I said yesterday, right? First, you're bullish. Then you sell. Then you get bearish. Then you get short. Then you get stopped out. Then you want to dip. And you don't get one. Welcome to bull markets. Isn't it fun? Bull markets are hard. This guy wants a dip. You're not getting one. You know, he's going to buy he's going to pay 112 for Bitcoin. And then he's going to realize he should have bought all coins. I'm not saying him, but I'm just saying people in general. Robinhood says Bitcoin and crypto will eventually replace traditional finance, calling it inevitable. Or they run on rails as parallel systems. As parallel systems. It's like, you know, the U.S. financial system, London, Hong Kong, you know, Tokyo, Sydney, crypto. Circle market cap, $63 billion. You ever seen these hookah bars where, you know, they got the big long stem and they're just like sucking on that thing and being like, oh, buzzing on all that? That's what they're doing with the circle. There is, according to the world, there is one trade in crypto, and it was this IPO, which I loved at 30. It was a joke. It's a joke. Ripple's valuation, as you've heard from me, is a joke. If Circle is worth $63 billion, I can't wait until some Silicon Valley player FOMOs into Ripple. Like, I don't think Ripple has a strategy for Ripple. You never hear them on the tape. There's like nothing. It's crickets coming out of Ripple, which could mean it is a takeover. a gigantic takeover or an IPO. Meanwhile, ARK, they bought the IPO, they sold the IPO. There's no rationale to hold something after you get a 10x on a stablecoin company. CME reports XRP futures are moving. This is legacy futures. That futures ETF is coming. It's going to happen. Solana CME futures, right? Legacy is more bullish on crypto than we are. The whole world is upside down. The Fed told you, it's like the breeze blows right away. We're doing 3 cuts. They just told you that. Crypto is so oversold and underappreciated. A lot of stuff's breaking out. Bitcoin has no intention of ever going down. And what are we doing? What we're doing is doing nothing. We're sitting around waiting for a dip that occurred 2 weeks ago, or 3 days ago, or 4 days ago. Bitcoin rebounds to 105. Coinbase premium. You know what? This is how you know the market for Bitcoin is starting to break a little. If Bitcoin's at 106, you're going to pay 109 on Coinbase. The liquidity in Bitcoin on exchanges is not there. This is what starts to happen when a market starts to get kind of unglued. There's no offer in Bitcoin. There isn't. Because, every time you buy Bitcoin on Coinbase as a whole, if a whole bunch of people buy Bitcoin on Coinbase has to go back into the market like Michael Saylor and figure out how to get it back. You know how I talk about Michael Saylor has to buy Bitcoin at high prices, when he knows it's going to go down so that the market makers can get the Bitcoin back in inventory after CZ and friends liquidate everybody? Everyone's scared in April, but I told you we would see all-time highs by the end of 2025. Bitcoin new all-time high, gold, NASDAQ. Stop listening to pessimists. It's not just pessimists. It's just people who get all worked up on Twitter on the disaster of the day. I can't even read Twitter anymore. Somebody makes a tweet, and the first response is, @Grok, is this true? If you have to check every single tweet to see if it's true, because Grok is checking with the legacy media, it's not Twitter anymore. Just like Netflix. Oh, you can get local news. You can get sports. The streaming services became cable. Grok has become NBC News. Now, they're trying to fix that, but dude, @Grok, is this true? Why tweet? Right? Seriously. Mastercard, Chainlink, going to hook up everybody. The FOMO in this stuff, when people start figuring the FOMO, the retail FOMO, institutions are quietly loading up because they know that once the retail FOMO starts, right, on the corporate treasury side, you've got the innovator, Saylor, the imitator, or Saylor and Metaplanet. Then you have all the imitators coming, and then you'll eventually have the idiots FOMOing in, massively. And when the idiots FOMO in, even though I'm calling them idiots, idiot FOMO can last a long time. 1999 .com stock FOMO, that was a year. Pets.com, drcoop.com, look that stuff up and have a laugh. Michael Saylor sharing his Bitcoin credit model with the director of housing. How's anybody going to afford a house? Well, they're going to buy Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's going to go to 7 figures, and then they'll be able to buy a house. That's it. If you want to buy a $300,000 house, you got to figure out how to get yourself $10,000 worth of Bitcoin and park it. Then 5 years from now, you'll be able to get a house. Or you'll be able to borrow money against the Bitcoin to get a house. Now, again, Bitcoin is still going to have volatility. That not now, but in the future, right? It'll go to, like he said, it'll go to 180 and crash to 140, or it'll go to 220 and crash to 140, whatever. But still, that's the only way anybody's going to buy a house. Bitcoin could go to 120. So yesterday it was going to 93. Now it's going to 120, right? I don't know how the media keeps track of this stuff. I don't know how they do this. Ethereum developer proposes 6-second block times. Get the narrative, right? It's about the story. The story gets the ETF going. Not to mention Ethereum network activity is off the charts. The stablecoin thing is coming and everybody is clueless. Clueless. Bitcoin set for mining difficulty drop. So miners, in 10 words or less, are going to have to sell less Bitcoin for a period of time in order to fund operations. And who do you think is selling to Michael Saylor? It's either the miners or the Chinese. So if the miners don't have to sell Bitcoin, they won't. They just won't. And Saylor will have to pay up. And of course, he doesn't care about paying up. He thinks it's going to $13 million or whatever he thinks it's going to. He doesn't care. But the supply is going to fall. There's no supply on Coinbase, and the miners don't want to sell. They don't want to sell. HUD 8 doubles down on Bitcoin-backed loans. Locks in lower rate. $65 million in capital availability. Hopefully the orange man is smart enough to make these guys exempt from these tariffs that are on the ASICs or right. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. We're going to put tariffs on Bitcoin mining machines. Oh my God, please give me a break. They got to fix that. They're going to fix that. Housing regulator to let crypto be considered in mortgage applications. Hello. Broken housing market fixed by Bitcoin. Don't keep your seed phrase on your phone. Don't click on anything. The North Koreans are not done. Now, Cynthia Lummis finally got some help. Finally. You want to know something funny? They could give the Nobel Prize for economics to Saylor or Cynthia Lummis, because she was the one who fought and fought and fought and fought when she was the only voice up there. Now they got the stablecoin bill done, and Coinbase was afraid that because they didn't do stablecoins and like a larger crypto is legal bill to make sure Gensler or anything like Gensler never comes back when AOC is president. Now, all of a sudden, they're interested in getting this done. They're going to do the second bill. You know why? Because all the stablecoin companies will buy treasuries, 1. 2, they got no way to improve their popularity. The big, beautiful bill's a disaster. They can't keep Netanyahu on a leash. Yeah, the city of Los Angeles may not be done. They got to show something positive. They got to make the crypto bros happy. They got to make us so happy we didn't forget about all this other stuff. And if they want to do the big, beautiful bill and blow up the deficit, oh my God, it's going even higher. We wanted the government to moon our bags. They're mooning our bags. Powell's talking about cutting rates. The geopolitical nonsense is over. The tariff thing is over. And we're all sitting around doing nothing while the institutions hoover everything up. Cynthia's got the momentum behind her. It's going to happen. Look at this. Orange Man files for the Truth Social Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF. You know, the MAGA ETF. Okay, great, terrific. Whatever, right? They know how the sausage is made. They know it's going up. They can't moon. They're not going to moon your bags until they get their bags set up. They're not done setting up their bags. You can't have a strategic reserve and a sovereign wealth fund until they have the personal Orange Man sovereign wealth fund and ETFs and everything else, right? I mean, look, the guy got a $400 million judgment. The investment banks testified that it wasn't fraud, and then they said it was fraud, and then hit him with a $400 million judgment for allegedly improper accounting. So for all the things the Orange Man does, yes, this is grift. I don't blame him. and him and Lutnick both know how the sausage is made, and Bessett, and you know what? Powell knows too, which is why Powell's like, oh, please party on with this. This is it. This is a solution I can live with, right? And they'll eventually back bonds with Bitcoin, which was an RFKJ thing, which you may have noticed he's getting everything he wants because no one wants to go to court with RFKJ. Strategy stock volatility sinks to historic lows. So MicroStrategy or strategy is not moving. Now, there's a saying in Wall Street, don't short the quiet market. Don't short the quiet market, right? Short sellers, everyone's short MicroStrategy, long Bitcoin. What happens if Bitcoin gets to 110 or 112 and stops while all coins smoke higher and all these shorts in strategy get blown out? Blown out. It's going to happen, right? Long Microsoft, short MicroStrategy. Wrong on both sides, right? Wrong. Polymarket on the verge of raising $200 million at a $1 billion valuation. Look who wants to invest, right? So it's a betting network. It could wind up a betting and propaganda network. Who knows? Like these guys, they want to control everything. Scares the daylights out of me. Metaplanet, $5 billion to accelerate Bitcoin buying. You know, there are a lot of companies in Japan. And, you know, some guy, Van Eck, has a little bit of a protest about this. Because what Van Eck is saying, okay, well, that's not this. Van Eck, a research company, is saying, you know what, if you have some random business that's not going anywhere, and you turn yourself into a Bitcoin hedge fund, you are a Bitcoin hedge fund. So that Bitcoin determines the value of your company. You know, don't expect to trade at some high multiple like Michael Saylor. They're just betting on a takeover. The imitators, right? The idiots are next, right? Bitcoin treasury companies are on the verge of the idiot zone. That said, SEI goes up 47%, followed by Wyoming. Wyoming, you know, people in Wyoming like cowboy hats, horses, you know, defense implements. That's Wyoming. It's not some bustling metropolis. It's where you go to hunt moose. SEI up 40%. Chainlink Mastercard partner. Nothing to see here in DeFi. Nothing's happening. Move along. ETH liquidity sits above 2.5K where bulls grab it. You know, this dropped to 2,200. Ridiculous. Now, that I think was the last stupid dip in ETH. Like the stupid dip where everybody just, where it's like everyone just gets permanently bearish before it goes like this. Ether trades near 2.5, but weak demand clouds bullish outlook. Thank God Cointelegraph is not bullish, so we can all buy. Aptos Labs, jump crypto, launch Web3 storage layer. These layer ones, this is made by X. This is X Meta, right? Got to watch out, right? Remember in the beginning of this cycle, SEI was first, SUI, and then Aptos. There were 3 Hershey Kiss coins sitting on Coinbase trading for nothing. They were hyped when they came out in the bear market, but they all went down. These things were trading at like, you know, pennies. Pennies. Okay, so here's Van Eck warning, you know, Bitcoin treasury companies become Bitcoin hedge funds. Hopefully they know how to manage the risk. Okay, and then here is everybody getting stopped out. So let's review. Geopolitical conflict starts. Everyone thinks it's World War III. I think it's a 12-day Cuban Missile Crisis. Cuban Missile Crisis was 13. This was 12 days. Everybody is long, in denial about the Cuban Missile Crisis part 2. Everybody gets liquidated to the tune of $1 billion in exposure. And then the market turns around and it's going to go straight up because everyone's looking for a dip and they're not getting one. They're not. And again, I know I've said it, right? I'm bullish, then I sell, then I'm bearish, then I'm short, then I wait for a dip and I don't get one. What is going to happen when all these people go piling back into the market? Forget about it. CZ, if you sold the dip, you need to unfollow the weak minds and follow the right people. Sir, you are right, but I wonder how much money you made off the $1 billion in perp liquidations. But he's right. He's right. I mean, crypto Twitter is the home of, hysterical people. There's the left, which is wrong about everything. There's the right, which are paid with talking points to say whatever they are told to say. And where are you going to get real information? Well, hopefully here. It's got a big show for you today. And there are other places to go to get real information, but it's not that easy. And people get very caught up, which is why you got research, right? Right? That's why we got research. Research? Anybody? Anybody want research? Bueller? Research? Anybody ever heard of research? We got research, right? We definitely have research. We have Patreon Platinum. We have 6th Street Crypto. We got all kinds of stuff. We got Toby Ward just rocking it. The Solana Psychic. Platinum Research. Okay. The 99K bottom called it. Cuban Missile Crisis called it. Gann Day Trading Manual. Updated Day Trading Manual. AI and DPIN today. Other than that, we don't have any content for you. And Toby talked everybody out of selling twice and called Clearpool and all the stuff before it went up 20%. Back to the news. Charts coming up. Don't go anywhere. God's sakes. Don't go anywhere. By the way, please hit the like button. If you got no money, I understand that. You live some far off place. You don't have US dollars. Hit the like button. And if you have some US dollars for $4.99, you can get yourself a cool emoji. Right? I get it. I get it. Money is not there. SEI up 40%. 40%. Okay, so Solana on a 4-hour DeMark chart. Perfect, nice 9 bottom, right? Just like the 9 top, right? 9 top, down, 9 bottom, up. Taking out resistance, right? Right around 144. Naturally, they had to just go through all the resistance. They had to go through 144. They had to take out this line. They had to just check everybody. Check, right? Failed rally, check, it's over, boom. XRP, unbelievable. Okay, 9 bottom, boom, take out resistance. 9 top, now give me a little dip. And if the little dip turns out to be a little dip and it holds like 214, guess what? This is the dip in XRP, right? I mean, if it dips, it's not a bull market until you can buy a dip and make money. So if you can buy a dip in XRP and it holds and it starts going back up again, and why wouldn't it go back up again? With Circle trading at $60 billion valuation. Crazy. ETH, 9 top, pause. So a 9 top is either a top or there's a counter trend dip and then the trend restarts. So the 1 through 9 is called setup in DeMark. And then you can get a counter trend move or a pause that refreshes. And then if the trend restarts, you get an extended move. How much you want to bet, right? That when crypto figures out, when they actually go through the statement and they see that Powell's talking about cutting rates and government is a bunch of buffoons. Katie bar the door. Is there any resistance in Bitcoin until 110? No. There's no 9 top. There's nothing. It's like clear blue sky. It's going back to 110. I don't even know this in ETH on a daily chart. I mean, this is beautiful, right? 9 bottom. All right. But it restarted. So, oh no, 2 down weeks. And then boom, it reverses. You know what? That in my mind is the most bullish DeMark signal. Because when it's supposed to go down and it doesn't, what's it going to do? It goes up a lot, but possibly. You know, and if you go to ETH weekly, I haven't looked at ETH weekly in a while, so we're just doing this on the fly. Not getting computer cooperation here. Okay, here's ETH weekly, sitting on a gigantic freaking support point that goes back to January of 2024. What's the problem? Is there a problem? Is there a problem, officer? Yeah, the resistance in ETH is at 4,000. Thank you for shopping. You got a massive 13 bottom in ETH that is just now being confirmed in June. We got 6-7 days to go until the end of the month. You give me a doji here or any kind of positive action, right? I don't know how it gets any better than that. Especially when you have the stablecoin catalyst and these guys have turned the rhetoric around and BlackRock buys the Ethereum ETF every single day. Because you know what? Again, with BlackRock, you see these headlines like BlackRock buys this, BlackRock buys that, Fidelity buys this. See, what you don't realize is they're buying it because their gigantic mutual funds are going to start allocating to those ETFs. Do you know? I mean, if you Google or Perplexity, you know, BlackRock's mutual fund, the stuffed shirts that run equities, they've got like 1 to 2% maybe allocated to Bitcoin or miners or MicroStrategy or whatever. They are underinvested. They own way too much Magnificent 7 and way not enough crypto. Oh, and by the way, did I mention that June is the end of the quarter? And equities guys in stonks do portfolio rebalancing. And what do? They sell what's up, Magnificent 7, and they buy what's down, Ethereum. Why do you think the volume is starting to pick up in Solana and XRP? Because once that's going into an ETF, they're going to buy that stuff too. Because you know what they love in equities? They love their diversification. Right? Oh, I have a little Solana. Oh, I have a little XRP. Oh, cool. Because, you know, if they do, say, software stocks, they don't buy one software stock. They buy 5 software stocks. This is happening. It's the end of the quarter. People in crypto is like, oh, I think I better Google the Strait of Hormuz. Oh, please. Give me a break. Give me a break. These characters just sold every form of total market cap, crypto market cap, right? Total crypto market cap sold relentlessly right into equilibrium, right into the 200-day moving average. I don't know how much better it gets than that, right? It's like down, 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 down. Make everyone think it's bearish. Boom. When this starts rallying, what's going to stop it? When the resistance starts to break and institutions start coming in at the end of the quarter and don't care what they're paying, institutions go, oh, wow, Magnificent 7 just made a new high, and the crypto ninnies just cheapen this up. Oh, my God, this is an absolute no-brainer. Do it at the market. At the market. Everyone at the end of the month be like, where's this bid coming from? Altcoins. Would you look at this? This is total 3. So complex head and shoulders bottom, and now the spacing between these two shoulders, these two pairs of shoulders is actually better. And we're below the 200-day moving average, right? They had to, like, you know, rubber glove check everybody again. Jesus, stop it. You got this inverted head and shoulder, you know, the head and shoulders bottom with the upward sloping neckline. I mean, this could literally explode. And I got GAN work that's in the Patreon Platinum area that tells you why and how long it'll last. Who in God's name is selling Web3 down here? I mean, you shouldn't even be selling. Yeah, I mean, they're, you know, the algos, that the meme coin algos, right? These guys are ready. Patreon Platinum is ready. How much money can you make in 3 months with real research? Algos, SPX 6900, Dog with Hat, leveraged Solana. SPX 6900 and Pepe leveraged ETH, I believe, that in my mind. With Hat, leveraged Solana. Moonpig, 10 million, 8 million market cap. Crazy. Crazy. Right? All these algos that ramp these meme coins, yeah, they're just like, gentlemen, start your engines. Others. This is like altcoins, you know, outside the top 10. It's just like, it's like basically there's nothing because it's this, right? And they just, I mean, you know how I'm always talking about a give up trade? Look at them absolutely give up in this thing. Like, look at it on an 89-minute chart. Like altcoins, Web3, straight down. Straight down. Like this is a vertical drop. And I know because we talked about some altcoins on the YouTube member podcast. You know, we're like, hey, this is our favorite altcoin. Went down 30%. Crazy. And then it went up 30%. You know, some guy asked me, I was like, well, you know what? Make sure you have a stop in. Don't lose the rent money. But Toby's like, don't sell. And everybody sold. And of course, you know, speed, magnitude, and direction. What goes down a certain way goes right back up the same way. Now everyone's going to look for a dip and it's going to chop around and you might actually, yeah, you might get a dip. And if you do, you better take advantage of it because it's not going to last very long, in my opinion. They have these market cap things now, sector analysis. So layer ones as a sector, 2.8 T for layer ones, which I'm assuming includes ETH. Hits the 200-day moving average and bounces. Anywhere you go in crypto. And the beautiful thing about, you know, bull markets is that when the TA is simple, you know you're in a bull market. You know, equities will do this. They'll go down, they'll hit some moving average, and boom. It's the 21-day moving average normally when they're doing QE. This is a gift. Now, I realize that situation was scary, but again, if you saw what happened to the Dow in that report, what happened when the Cuban Missile Crisis was resolved, but that's in Patreon Platinum, right? And this market is sitting around and everyone's just kind of looking at each other like, oh, now here's SEI, right? You can't even see it because LuxAlgo is putting so much support underneath this rally. And again, has anything really happened here? Like if you looked at this chart, would you know that the state of Wyoming is doing something and that this whole thing is awake? Like if you look at it on a weekly chart, I mean, what's happened here? Nothing. Nothing has happened here. This thing was on top of its weekly discount zone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13 weeks. 13 weeks, dead. Dead. The whole market looks like this. You know, we did a bunch of, we did a couple of reports, right? That we also talked about. Again, we cross-pollinate on the research. It's like preferred medium in some ways, right? You have reports, and then you have conversations about altcoins, right? Not all the same coins. So everybody gets, new stuff, different stuff to look at. But I mean, look at STX. Look at STX, right? Yeah. Bitcoin layer 2. Guess we're never doing anything on Bitcoin, huh? LuxAlgo thinks it's a downtrend. It was so depressed that the quantitative system thinks it's a downtrend, which is why they put all this resistance, all this pink resistance. Like the machine is like, oh, this must be a downtrend. This must be a bear market. Meanwhile, STX went way deep in the discount zone. Look what happened the last time STX went way deep in the discount zone. It's a Bitcoin layer 2. Nothing's going to happen on Bitcoin. I watched a podcast. Some guy thinks the entire internet's going to be running on Bitcoin one day. But of course, this is like, I would much prefer to buy Microsoft at the high, but I'm not touching any of this. Uniswap, a business in DeFi that actually makes money. They make money. It's a business, and it's a government's token, which will wind up being bought by Goldman or whoever. Because when the banks come into DeFi, remember, banks just don't come in. They're like, hi, we're here. How you doing? So nice to be here. No. The guys with fangs come in and go like, all right, hi, we're here to dominate. Like BlackRock with the Bitcoin ETF. Hi, we're here to dominate. So when they come in, they're just coming in heavy-handed. They're coming in heavy-handed on all this stuff. And it's being ignored, which is fine because now you and me have plenty of time. We have plenty of time. Plenty of time. Look at this. Look at the Galaxy Digital stock. Holy cow. 4-hour chart, right? Everybody selling right into a moving average. Galaxy Digital. Everybody buying. This is the new IPO in the US. Everybody buying Circle. No one buying Galaxy. Crazy. How the heck do you think everyone in Legacy is going to get onboarded into crypto? They're going to call Galaxy, right? Nice 50% retracement right into equilibrium. Boom. MicroStrategy. Again, sitting at equilibrium. Volatility has dried up. Don't get short the quiet market. Don't. Especially at the end of a quarter. Because they may allocate money to anybody who can't buy Bitcoin or the Bitcoin ETF might start buying the preferred stock. Why do you think the volume on that stuff is so high? Everyone's like, oh my God, we got to allocate over to that. That's how they think in Legacy. The word is asset allocation, right? You go to Schwab, they'll give you a sheet. They'll say, these are the top performing stocks or sectors this year. These are the bottom performing stocks. You sell the outperformers, you buy the underperformers. That's it. That's it. They don't even think about it. It's just a part of their math. Ignore the noise, sell the outperformers, buy the underperformers for just asset allocation. That's all. Like Magnificent Seven goes up too much. They got a second opportunity to get out of that, by the way. This scared the bejesus out of people. Right? These guys didn't get out up here on tariff time, and they got smoked. That only the cleaner was going to know how scared they were over in Legacy when fear greed went to zero. So, yeah, what are we going to do at the premium zone in NASDAQ? I think we're going to take profits and buy, I don't know, name it. How about Hut Mining on the 200-day moving average? Want to see how high this thing, this thing can go back to 32. It's currently trading at 16. Coinbase, look at Coinbase. Holy cow. Possibly the real beneficiary of USDC. But again, at the premium zone, right? So this looks like the Circle FOMO. Meanwhile, other BT that has a big ETH position doing nothing. Marathon Digital sitting on LuxAlgo support. No one wants it. Stuff's like a Dairy Queen cup just thrown out onto a Texas highway. So we're done. That's just nuts, right? Solana sitting on a perfectly good GAN line. Now at resistance, okay, why? Because the quantitative model thinks the give up trade was a bear market. But we know it's not a bear market because of Powell, Circle, geopolitical resolution, irresponsible sovereign, little. It's not a bear market. And if they blow through this resistance, where's the next get? Well, you got the 200-day moving average at 161, but I'm kind of sick of the 200-day moving average dance in Solana. How about we start looking at a GAN line at 180? And then, of course, there's the GAN line in Bitcoin, which held like a champ, right? Patreon, both platinum and, the guys in the middle tier, 99K. My guys down there at 99. Hello, right? The report had a thumbnail that said 99. I won't make you look at it. Have no idea why everybody was selling crypto. Absolutely crazy banana pants. Okay, let's review. The first read on the Fed is always wrong. The first read on any number is always wrong. Algos read the statement. They hear them being stubborn. They sell or don't buy or whatever they do. Meanwhile, in the equities ranch, sugar cookies are being made, and crypto's going to figure this out all at once, right? Geopolitical nothing burgers will be served with sugar cookies. Boom. And I didn't even go through the altcoin TA. I'm going to do it in Patreon, or we'll do it Thursday on the YouTube member area, because all of these altcoins are going to go whoosh. Every day. London buys it overnight. New York tries to sell it. And then if that doesn't work, it goes. And if the Europeans are right and they buy it and it sticks, forget about it, right? I mean, you got 7 days until the end of the quarter. And if you're in Patreon Premium, you know all about the GAN changes that are coming. They're coming. So, like I said, you get up on the research, you get on this market. This market has, frankly, stunk for a while. Like, this market has stunk since the orange man sold over the top on everybody back in January. The Bitcoin maximalists have done okay, but, really, what have they gotten out of it? Right? And I'm making a point here. So here's Bitcoin in January at 110. Bitcoin is now at 105. What has happened in this market for 6 months? Nothing but suffering. I mean, guys are saying it. I know. They're commenting every time I buy, it goes down. 6 months of this. Well, guess what, people? I got a lot of news for you. If you get in Patreon Platinum, you are going to see the window that you have to make money. It's not gigantic. It's decent, but it's not gigantic. So I suggest you get in there. Or if you can't afford to get in there and you live in some far off place and you got nothing, what you can do is hit the like button and get in this market and get busy with whatever money you have. Because Toby Ward has a speech which you can listen to on the podcast. I'm not giving it to you now. You can hear her say it. Because, there's one thing when some big mouth like me says it, and there's one thing with a very calm, very astute, very intelligent, right, very good-looking individual simply looks at you in the face and says, ... tune in on Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your business, your Bass Hertz, Big Rich, Thomas, Daniel J. Forget about it. Find out now. We appreciate you watching. That is the market update. We will see you tomorrow.